In 1052, the city of Isfahan falls to the Islamic Empire, so medicine and science are outlawed in Persia. This forces doctors to flee the city and seek a new home. Dr. Rob is currently on a ship with his pregnant wife Rebecca. They're traveling to England with their medical team and everyone celebrates when the island comes into view. Unfortunately, a vicious storm suddenly appears in the sky and causes the ship to lose control. While the crew tries to keep the vessel en route, Rebecca's water breaks, so Rob guides her through labor and soon a cute baby boy is born. Another moment of joy is interrupted when the ship crashes into the rocks. In the morning, the survivors wake up on a beach and explore the area to check for any injured friends and supplies. At least the book with all their medical knowledge is intact. Rob has managed to save his baby, but he can't find Rebecca anywhere. In the evening, the group makes camp, and Rob is still stuck in a depressive state. His friend Isaac thinks they should get going and Rob snaps, saying he wants to stay there until he finds Rebecca. Isaac snaps too, pointing out that Rebecca is dead and dozens of people have died for Rob's dream last night. Rob finally snaps out of it and the group starts traveling. Eventually they reach London and tell the guards that they're here to talk to the medical guild. They're charged an extra toll for their camel and informed that Jewish and Muslim people must leave the city before sunset. As they walk down the street, Rob accidentally bumps into Weasel, a young thief who is running away from the man he robbed. After a short chase, the man captures him and dislocates his shoulder to get his purse back. Weasel collapses in pain, so Rob offers his help and easily puts his shoulder back in place. Then Weasel agrees to take them to the medical guild. While they walk around town, the group notices that people here still use old healing methods and most of them are very painful. There's a crazy man who believes he's a dog, so his partner asks Royal Dr. Leofric for help. However, Leofric kicks the crazy guy and says he belongs in the caves. At that moment a crowd gathers at the square for an execution. 4 people are accused of being witches but they're actually Celts, which is seen as anti-Christian. Weasel explains that the soldiers have been hunting pagans, but army leader Godwin isn't happy about it. When the stake is set on fire, the rope holding the prisoners burns and they manage to free themselves. As soon as they try to escape, the soldiers surround them and attack them. Duff fights back and steals a sword, creating an opening that allows him and his friends to run away. Afterward, Rob and Isaac get an audience with royal physicians Leofric and Hun. They want to share their knowledge and train new doctors. However, Hun explains that Hebrews can't practice medicine in the city and orders the soldiers to drag the duo out. In the evening, Rob's group discusses what to do next but they're interrupted by Rose asking for help. She takes them to a room where the runaway Celts are hiding. Duff has an infected leg and freaks out when he hears that they may need to amputate, but Rob takes a closer look and says he can cure it. While he applies a balm to the injury, the Celts explain that their villages are in danger, and all the killing of pagans started when the king married the current queen. She's always pregnant, yet her babies have never survived. Afterward, Morrigan tells Rob that he must let go of his grief and talks about the pain of the soul. Rob snaps, saying that he only believes in actual science and not superstitious mysteries. Morrigan makes him feel her heartbeat and explains that the softness of the human heart is part of healing too. Rob has the ability to tell if someone is dying by judging their heartbeats and confirms that Morrigan doesn't have much time left. She already knows this, so she wants to help him before she's gone. Morrigan mixes some special herbs and makes Rob smell the resulting smoke to put him in a trance. Then she guides him through a ritual that makes him have some visions. Death has grabbed his ship and Rob is underwater with the baby. Rebecca is holding his hand, but she's suddenly dragged away by Death. Rob snaps awake and has a breakdown as he finally comes to terms with Rebecca's death. At the castle, Hun does a checkup on Queen Mercia's pregnancy and informs her she'll have a boy. It's revealed that they're having an affair and the king is too old to have children, but Mercia has gotten him drunk to make him believe everything she says. At that moment Hun is called to Godwin's quarters because his wife is very sick. Hun manages to calm her for now, however he doesn't think she'll make it. Godwin shakes Hun as he asks him to do something, but Hun swears there's nothing he can do. The next morning, the soldiers are looking for Celts to kill, but Rob refuses to kick Duff out of his quarters. His friends remind him that the guild doesn't allow them to work, but Rob thinks they can do it outside the city walls. Weasel finds them an abandoned building in ruins and everyone starts working on rebuilding it. Event Duff helps when he's feeling better. Soon they have a large number of people lining up outside their clinic waiting to be helped. They don't always have money to pay, but the doctors don't mind working for free. Rose brings clothes for the baby and starts getting close to Abu. One evening, Rob tries to write Morrigan's ritual in his book, but he can't remember all the details. Isaac is a little skeptical of such rituals, so Rob points out that many ancient cultures have stories about the soul healing the body. He didn't used to believe them either, but now that he's experienced the results, he thinks they must learn these techniques too. Sometime later Rob sees a ship with strange people in the river. A merchant explains that those are people whose souls were taken by the devil, which means they're crazy. They're taken to the Caves of Mercy and they never come back. Meanwhile, Leofric complains because he's lost most of his clients to Rob's team. Hun thinks it's fine because their people always come back, but he falls silent when he hears that Rob's team is willing to work for free. Afterward, Hun goes to the clinic and pretends he's sorry for how he treated Rob the other day, claiming he's come to learn. Then Rob reveals that Godwin has brought his wife, who has been diagnosed with liquid in her lungs. The men hold her while Rob makes a cut in her chest and proceeds to drain her lungs. She immediately feels better because she can finally breathe again. Hun is impressed by this and Rob asks him to work together. However, Hun is only interested in buying the book. He offers money and his protection, but Rob turns him down. At the castle, nobles complain because they've lost too many people in these fights against native tribes. Yet the bishop and Mercia insist that none of Satan's allies must be allowed in their country. At that moment Godwin brings Rob to the throne room and says he can heal the king. Mercia and Leofric try to forbid it, so Godwin tells the crowd that Rob saved his wife after the royal medics failed to help her. The crowd goes crazy and points out that nobody has seen the king in a year. Under all this pressure, Mercia has no choice but to take Rob to the royal chambers. They're kept in the dark because supposedly sunlight hurts the king. Rob examines Canute and explains he doesn't have a sickness anymore, he's weak because he lacks sunlight. As soon as Rob removes all the curtains, Canute walks to the window and starts feeling better. Then Canute finally returns to the throne room, where the crowd receives him with cheers. However, Hun isn't happy about this. After a few weeks, Canute is feeling so well that he goes hunting again. However, Rob still visits him to apply a balm on his skin until he's fully recovered. Canute is so grateful that he throws a party in honor of the medical team. Everyone has fun except for Leofric, who is worried that the king will realize he was keeping him sick on purpose. He was paid by Mercia and Hun to do so, and he refuses to go down alone. Hun talks to Mercia in private, saying that they need to get rid of Leofric before he tells on them. In the middle of the party, Canute announces that Rob is the new royal doctor and that he'll build a huge hospital in London. On their way home after the party, the team is shocked to find Leofric's dead body. Sometime later, Canute takes Rob and his wife on a trip to St. Peter's Convent. He explains that his previous wife died and only left him a daughter, who has been sick for a long time. At the convent, Princess Eileen is kept in a cell. When Rob tries to talk to her, she hides in the shadows. He doesn't give up and keeps speaking, so Eileen jumps on him to attack him. The nuns rush into the cell to pull her back and start an exorcism. Rob complains because Eileen is being treated like an animal and announces that they'll use his methods from now on. In the afternoon, Rob returns to the cell and discovers that Eileen is wearing a straitjacket. He immediately frees her and gives her an apple. Eileen threatens to throw it at him like she often does with the nuns, but she eats it instead. Then Rob shares the story of how he became a doctor to gain her trust. Eileen says that the devil is inside her and tells him to go, but he assures her that she doesn't and notices the drawings she's made on the wall. When he asks about them, Eileen starts trembling in fear, so Rob hugs her to calm her down. Later Rob shows the copies he's made of Eileen's drawings. Canute explains that one of them is the mask of the Dance of Death. It's part of the court's entertainment. After a feast, the figure of death comes in and takes everyone by the hand to show that death comes for everyone. However, when Rob asks about the drawing of a person with antlers, Canute refuses to discuss it. In the evening, Mercia tries to get dirty with Canute, who stops her to have a serious talk. He explains he was happy to see Leofric dead because of what he did to him, and swears to crush the bones of any person who tries to hurt him again. Mercia realizes that this is a warning. In the middle of the night, Mercia wakes up in pain and asks for her doctor, so Hun arrives in the morning. As soon as he's left alone with Mercia, she stops pretending to be in pain. They make a plan and Hun goes to the woods to look for a poisonous herb that he mixes with the king's balm. The following morning, Rob tells Godwin and Canute that he'll put Eileen in a trance to try to understand what is happening in her head, which sounds like witchcraft to Canute. Rob assures him it's a kind of healing before applying the balm. In the cell, Rob guides Eileen through the ritual that Morrigan taught him. Soon Eileen has a vision of death, a king with a sword, and a woman surrounded by people with masks. She starts repeating that the devil is here, so Rob has to calm her down. While waiting, Canute starts feeling very sick. Rob sees him from the window, so he interrupts the ritual with the intention to help, but the cell door is locked. Canute stares at Mercia and realizes she poisoned him before he drops dead. In London, the bishop tells the citizens that Rob killed Canute, claiming he was working for the Celts. The furious mob bursts into the clinic and starts killing the doctors while burning everything. The camel is so scared that it pulls its rope until it's free to escape. Abu rushes to get the baby, hiding him in his clothes. Isaac tries to protect the book, but Hun stabs him in the arm and steals it anyway. On his way out, Hun is blocked by Duff, so he makes his soldiers distract him while he runs. Weasel is waiting by the door and makes him trip to take the book back. After Abu helps Isaac with his wound, they run away with Duff, Weasel, and the book. Unfortunately, the army surrounds them and Hun takes the book again. Rob and the 4 survivors are put in cages while Rose watches from the shadows. At the castle, the bishop announces that Mercia will rule until her child is born. The nobles point out that Eileen is still alive and they don't believe the sickness story because they haven't seen her in years. Mercia agrees to bring them proof. Godwin travels to the convent to get Eileen, and she's so happy to be outside again that she rings the bell. When she gets too close to the edge of the balcony, Godwin hesitates for a second before pulling her back. After Godwin returns to the castle, he tells Mercia that Eileen self-deleted. Mercia passes the news to the nobles before she starts feeling contractions. 12 hours later, the baby still hasn't been born. Out of desperation, they call Rob for help. Rob asks for his friends and son to be released and a promise that they won't be hurt, so Hun agrees. Rob then asks Hun if he poisoned the king under Mercia's orders, so Hun tries to distract him. Rob takes the chance to also ask for Eileen to be released under his care, and tells Godwin that he and God are the only witnesses to this promise. Then Rob examines Mercia and decides she needs a C-section. A few hours later, a baby girl is born. However, Mercia wants Rob to be executed anyway. Meanwhile, Rose sneaks into the barracks and takes the baby from Abu before going into hiding. When Godwin brings Rob, he frees him and his friends, asking them to find Eileen in the Caves of Mercy so she can properly rule the country. The soldiers notice the empty cages and start searching for the prisoners. General Harthacnut stays to scold Godwin, who tells him that Mercia killed Canute. Harthacnut doesn't believe him and challenges him to a duel. Both men are good fighters and at first Godwin appears to have the upper hand, but after just a few moves, Harthacnut kills him. Sometime later, Abu tells Rob that Rose is willing to use her savings to pay for a ship to France. However, Rob won't go with them because he wants to find Eileen, saying that he must help this country so Rebecca's death will mean something. Weasel, Abu, and Duff decide to help him while Rose stays in a village with the baby and Isaac, who is still recovering. At the castle, Mercia is crowned after presenting the baby to the nobles. Harthacnut receives news of the team's trip. Eventually, Rob's group arrives at the Caves of Mercy. At first the place appears empty, but when the group starts exploring, the crazy people come out of hiding. A woman gets ready to hit them with a rock, but Rob stops her with kindness. He asks the crowd about Eileen, so the woman takes them to another section of the cave. To their shock, the people there are eating human flesh. When the woman bites Weasel's shoulder, he screams and everyone freaks out. The crazy people start chasing them, so the team climbs a wooden structure and kicks any person who comes after them. After some struggle, they run into another cave. Rob sees the man who acts like a dog and asks him about Eileen. The man makes him hold his leash and takes him further into the cave, where Eileen throws rocks at him. Rob approaches her carefully and she hugs him when she recognizes him. The team quickly takes her out of the cave and she feels better in the sunlight. Meanwhile, Harthacnut and his men arrive at the village and capture Rose, Isaac, and the baby. They're taken to the castle and Mercia threatens to kill the baby if they don't tell her where Ron is. Isaac explains that he's looking for the princess, but Mercia laughs because she still thinks Eileen is dead. Moments later, the team arrives at a Celtic village, only to find the place burning down. Duff helps an old couple dig a grave for their dead son while Rob asks about Morrigan. He learns that she's already left with the other refugees. When the elderly couple realizes that Eileen is the lost princess, they kneel for her. In London, Harthacnut tells Mercia that there are rumors of the Celtic villages coming together to fight because the princess is among them. Mercia thinks the rumors are false or that there's an imposter, but Harthacnut points out that the general population thinks that Mercia shouldn't be queen. A furious Mercia decides she has to end the rumors herself. In the meantime, Hun studies the book but he can't understand it. He asks Mercia to spare Isaac's life so he can teach him how to read the book, desperate to be the best doctor in the world. Mercia calls him pathetic and says that the prisoners will be executed tomorrow. That night, Hun takes Isaac, Rose and the baby out of the cell and takes them to the city borders. He gives them back the book, asking them to save this valuable knowledge. After the group escapes the city, Hun gets into a bathtub and covers himself with Canute's bomb. When Mercia finds him, she cries as she watches him die. Sometime later, the heroes arrive at a Celtic town and everyone is happy to welcome the princess. Morrigan is sick in bed but Rob asks her to heal Eileen anyway, saying he doesn't know enough to do it. Morrigan asks him to take her to the temple so she can ask the goddess for one last voyage. The locals prepare a stretcher and carry Morrigan together, however she ends up dying on the way to the temple. Eileen asks Rob to heal her, certain that they can achieve it together. The Celts help Rob start the ritual. After seeing death again, Eileen recovers a memory. As a child, Eileen was enjoying her father's party, and during the dance of death her mysterious friend took her to see her mother. Eileen found her mom in the middle of a naughty-looking ritual, and her friend asked her to tell her father. When Eileen informed Canute of what she saw, he killed her mother and all the people from the ritual. Eileen didn't want to see the massacre, but her friend forced her to. This friend told her that Celts were evil and that Eileen had their devil blood. After lots of struggle, Eileen manages to remember that the friend was Mercia. In the present, Eileen wakes up feeling better. She explains her mother was Celtic, she'd been in a fertility ceremony because she wanted to give the king a son, and the man with the horns was a druid. Mercia made Canute believe that his wife was unfaithful and he killed her for it. At that moment, Mercia arrives with her troops to invade the Celtic town. After shooting arrows on fire to kill a few people and light up the place, the soldiers advance while the locals rush to block the door. Rob tries to stop Eileen from joining the fight, but she says this is a new beginning and leaves anyway. The soldiers burst into the town and a vicious battle immediately begins. Weasel falls when he's hit by an arrow, so Duff takes him to the infirmary where Abu is trying his best to take care of all the injured men. When he opens Weasel's shirt to look at the wound, they discover he's actually a girl. Dozens of people drop dead on both sides, but everyone freezes when Eileen appears with a sword and shield. Mercia tells her men to kill the imposter, but nobody moves. Then Eileen shares what Mercia did to her parents and announces she's here to claim the throne in the name of peace as both Celt and Christian. The crowd kneels as Eileen reminds everyone that her parents married precisely to unite both cultures, and even Harthacnut and the bishop decide to accept her as the true queen. Mercia falls on her knees crying, so Eileen approaches her thinking she's repenting. However, Mercia is acting and quickly stabs her. Then she announces she's killed the half-blood, so the archers quickly kill her with arrows. Rob rushes to Eileen's side and checks her heartbeat to confirm she'll survive. Afterward, Eileen returns to London as the legitimate queen, and even the camel welcomes her with a cheer. Years later, Rob adds a chapter on the importance of mental health to the book. When Eileen visits him, she shares that she's engaged to a man from the West to create an alliance with the Saxon families. However, it's not what her heart wants. She holds Rob's hand and thanks him for her life. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.